A lot of it has been made of the Chiefs, their villains. And I keep thinking, are they villains? You know, when you talk about a villain, I think about the Bad Boys, the Pistons. Like they were villains, but they embraced it here. You know, there's certain wrestlers who like being the villain. But, you know, what is a villain? I have the definition, but I want you to hear from Travis Kelce. He was on his podcast with his brother and talking about embracing being a villain in the Super Bowl.
I love it. At one point in time, you know, it wasn't that. And
you were the cinder. You guys were the darling of the NFL.
Yeah, I was the do you feel bad for him guys, and
you're now the heel.
I'm enjoying doing this with the guys together, the guys that we have in there, because it's like it just makes us even more of a family.
Okay, that's the New Heights podcast with the brothers. A villain is a character or person who is intentionally evil or harmful to others. Villains can be fictional or based on real people. So the intentional part of that, are they intentionally evil or are they intentionally good or great? I think they came along at a time where we were like, yeah, somebody other than the Patriots. And then all of a sudden it's like now we're waiting for somebody other than the Kansas City Chiefs. But, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, not a villain. Kelce, Andy Reid, Chris Jones. I don't get it. I think we're tired of the story, and that's natural for sports fans. It's like, okay, somebody else. Boy, we're really rooting for Buffalo. Or we're rooting against Kansas City because we want somebody else in there. Buffalo would be great. You know, Baltimore would be great. We want somebody else in there. This happens with dynasties. We get tired, same stories, same people. Everybody's doing commercials. It's a big deal. Every game is the nationally televised game. It's the big one on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon on Fox or CBS. So we're so familiar with this story that's why we wanted something else. Even the Eagles, you know, we had them in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. We're very familiar with the Eagles. Now you got Saquon Barkley. Okay, you can root for them. And I never thought I would hear, you know, the national audience saying, yeah, I guess I'll root for the Eagles. You know, it's like Notre Dame or Duke basketball. Somebody other than them. Then Notre Dame became likable this year. It's like, you know, there's a national audience that's going, hey, I kind of like Notre Dame this year. So the villain part of this, I'm not buying, but Kansas City should embrace it because it's there, it's real, and, you know, fans want to see Kansas City. I don't know if they want to see the Eagles win as much as they want to see Kansas City lose. They want to see what happens with Travis Kelce when he's walking off the field, Taylor Swift, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. But I look at this as extremely skilled football. All three phases. They just do it right. And I can't argue about that. I can't complain about that. Do they get calls? Is the perception they're getting calls? Yes. But it's not their fault. You know, if they take advantage of the rules, then change the rules. You know, the Patriots, you could say, were villains because they cheated. And they were involved in a couple of nefarious situations there. Their head coach wasn't likable. Brady, we embraced because it was an underdog story. Julian Edelman, underdogs. Like, they had so many underdog stories. But then we got tired of them. And then they're cheating. And then all of a sudden you hated to see Brady's face because the good-looking quarterback got the cheerleader and won the championship. Bill Belichick, always grumpy, even if he won. You know, we got tired of all of that. But I view them as villains, not the Kansas City Chiefs. So if it helps the Chiefs and Travis Kelce and you embrace that, then great. But I don't look at them as villains. I look at them as one of the great teams of all time. With what they've done this run, Mahomes and what he's done, historical. Andy Reid, what he's done to maybe be, he's the guy who couldn't win the big game. Remember? Couldn't win the big game. And then he goes to Kansas City. Oh, great. Yeah, maybe he'll get to a conference title game. He was good at doing that in Philadelphia. Now we're looking at him. Man, that guy's an offensive genius. He should be up there with Shula, Belichick, Lombardi. I mean, all the greats, and rightfully so. And Mahomes, he's going to be the greatest quarterback of all time, probably when it's all said and done. What did he do wrong? Exactly. I don't know what he did wrong. I mean, is he cocky? Does he get calls? Okay. That doesn't make him a villain. Now, that can make you root against them because they get the calls. You know, Brady got called. The greats get calls, or the perception is they got a call. And they're always on national TV. So you're seeing all this. They don't play 1 o'clock games, not very often. Every game is magnified. Every game, Monday is a referendum on that game and that team. Yes, Marvin.
I think for Mahomes, I think it's the people around Patrick Mahomes that makes people root against him. It's not even Patrick Mahomes himself. It's the people around him. I'll just leave it at that.
Maybe referencing family members there.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, but that doesn't make him a villain. That doesn't make the Chiefs a villain. But I would say most people, if you're not an Eagles fan or a Chiefs fan, you're rooting against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It probably, if you did a football map, I would guess that most of the states would be rooting, maybe not for the Eagles, but against the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, Paulie.
But I think your point was right when you explained what villain means. Intentional, the word intentional. If you go back to Belichick, especially the last 6 or 7 years of that run, he was difficult with the media on purpose. And it seemed like he got more difficult, and it's us against the world, and I'm going to give you a hard time because I've got a handful of rings, and he could get away with it. So, and also the cheating accusations, some real, some not with the Patriots, that's true villainy.
A character in a story who opposes the hero, a person who is guilty of or likely to commit a crime, a person who is cruel or evil, a person who is blamed for a particular evil. Certain villains, Hannibal Lecter, Norman Bates, Darth Vader, the Wicked Witch of the West, the Wicked Witch of the AFC West, Bill Laimbeer. But, hey, I don't blame you. Embrace it. You might as well. Hey, all right. Now, they can't say nobody thought we would be here. You know, it's not one of those. Like, their villains are favorites as far as you're not an underdog story. Because it's hard to hate a villain who's an underdog. Yes, Dill.
I think they've also been preseason betting favorites for like 6 years in a row now.
Yes. This isn't one of those, oh my gosh, heartwarming stories. It's not. But when you think about it, Mahomes was nobody in college. Kelce was a former quarterback. He played at Cincinnati. I mean, came out of nowhere. Nobody knows where Chris Jones went to college. I mean, that's why when you start to look at Isaiah Pacheco went to Rutgers. Tyreek Hill. Now, you know, you could maybe not like Tyreek Hill, but they traded him away. And they did a great job finding Tyreek Hill. So I look at that front office, unbelievable. Plug and play, unbelievable. And the constant is your GM, your coach, and your quarterback, and not in that order. It should be a story that we embrace, or at least we respect, but it's almost like, oh, God. This is going to happen on Super Bowl Sunday. There'll be that moment where, oh, God, they get all the calls. It's going to happen. And I hate when it happens because then we lose sight, even leading up to the Super Bowl. This is going to be a big storyline next week. Oh, the villains. People hate us. That's okay. Or people saying, oh, they get all the calls. Are they going to change the rules in the offseason? Adam Schefter joins us now. Shefty, are they going to change the rules? Yes. Help is on the way. Like, that's what it's going to be. Instead of, these are two great teams. Really, really well run. When you look at the GMs, the talent, both sides of the ball, you know, Chiefs are a 1.5-point favorite. I mean, this is what you want. You want a Super Bowl. You know, I used to cover the Super Bowls when it would be, how badly is the AFC going to lose? How badly are the Broncos going to lose? Oh, it's 55-10. You want...
All right.
Sorry, Todd. You want competition. You want a great game. And there's so many things at stake. What would a Super Bowl do for Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, Saquon Barkley? We'll talk about that next hour. Add another Super Bowl to Andy Reid's resume or Patrick Mahomes' resume. Does Kelce retire after a Super Bowl win? Like, there's a lot of great storylines here. And there are times when I can be a cynic, but, I still love covering sports. I hate being oh, God, they get all the calls. That's not fair. They cheat. Whatever it might be, they spend more money than anybody. Then you lose sight of what we grew up wanting and we took for granted. There weren't controversies when we were growing up. I don't know if anybody said, God, I hate the Packers in the late 60s. You're like, damn, they're good. Kansas City, man, they got a weird huddle with Lenny Dawson and Hank Stram, but I like them. Joe Namath, that's what you grow up with. I'm okay with a guy or a team that you want to beat, that they're the team to beat. I'm okay. I grew up a UCLA fan, and everybody wanted to beat UCLA. But I like the fact that there was that one team you wanted to beat. The Cowboys for a while, the Packers for a while, the Steelers for a while, the Niners for a while. Man, we're so lucky to have those years where you saw greatness, true greatness. Yeah, Paulie.
I want to ask you a back of the day question before we break. When Joe Namath was going to win the Super Bowl or getting ready to win the Super Bowl, was he beloved, embraced by the national sports fans, or was he like, oh, this cocky guy from this upstart league?
I think that since they were 18-point underdogs, that there was a snickering curiosity of, damn, can't believe he guaranteed they were going to beat the Colts. And, he had long hair, so he looked like he was, the fifth Beatle. But when you watched him play, he had white shoes, and then if he was not able to play, he had this big white fur coat on. And so there was a curiosity, but I don't know if he was warmly embraced. I think because I grew up as an AFL fan, I should say, an AFL fan. So I loved that they were wide open football. The NFL was boring. It was like 3 yards here, and here's a sweep for 4 yards, and there's a 7-yard touchdown. It was boring. The AFL, it was awesome. It was like the ABA. It was fun. And then, same thing happened in the NBA. The NBA looked at the ABA and go, man, they're doing some fun things. The NFL did that with the AFL. Bring those teams in. They're having fun. The Chargers, Kansas City Chiefs, the Jets. So, this just goes along, this is history. Every few years, it's that guy or that team or both. And that's what's, to me, great about this. It's why I still love coming to work every day. You have these stories. They're fun. Embrace them.